I'm excited about this one, man. No doubt about it. I mean, if you were going to tell me what was going to be the series that I wanted, it was definitely going to be Heat and Sixers. As everything was going down with them possibly blowing the Raptors, I was like, because the Raptors series, it's not only not sexy, you got the whole Kyle Lowry being emotional thing with that tie in there. I don't know if that's going to have some weirdness that throws him off. So I wasn't into that. And this is just the juice, man. Like, this is what it's been. Philly versus Miami ever since Jimmy came down here. It's even got, roots going back a couple of years ago, the series, but everybody's kind of gone there except for Bam, who wasn't really a big factor in that. But I don't like that team, man. I don't like them. They don't like this team. And I'm excited that this finally gets to get settled. It's unfortunate, though, that it's going to be pretty banged up, it seems, for the first couple of games. It's we got the news this week, and reason I haven't really done any preview on this channel has been just all of the news that has just been flying in on the status of Joel Embiid, the status of Kyle Lowry, and just kind of seeing where the pieces would fall by the end of this thing. So now we kind of seem like we have a better determination of where things are. And I should mention, by the way, we'll be talking about this plenty on my radio show, Tobin and Leroy, every single day, every single weekday, 6 to 10 a.m. on 790 The Ticket. If you guys want to watch that show, go to youtube.com/The Ticket Miami to get clips. You guys can watch it live every day, twitch.tv /790 The Ticket. You guys can watch it 6 to 10 a.m. And, of course, you can subscribe to the podcast and let's do it on demand. Check that out there, but we'll roll on here from this standpoint. We get the news around, I think it was on Friday when we first got it. I know it was after the show, because we didn't talk about it, and we get the news that Joel Embiid is out indefinitely. He had an orbital bone fracture, took a nasty elbow from Pascal Siakam, which turned into its own controversy for a couple of reasons. One, because the Raptors, the Sixers fans want the Raptors star. They want blood. I mean, they're so mad at him. The other reason being is, why the hell was he out there? Why did Doc Rivers have his star center out there up 30 basically in the midst of a closeout game where they had it seemingly all cinched up and they can just roll on to the next series? I don't really understand it either, but I will say, like, how is Doc Rivers supposed to expect Pascal Siakam to go Bones Jones on Joel Embiid? And that really could happen at any point. It's just a stroke of really unfortunate luck and some ill-timed avoidable plays for Doc Rivers, for sure, who's already fighting his own battles with people going at his choking narrative and all that type of stuff. Although it was weird this week, you saw like Kendrick Perkins comes out and he has the quote, and this I think was before the Embiid injury that he had this out, but this was a doozy. And he says, with the injuries the Heat has, I have this series going 7. If Kyle Lowry and Jimmy Butler are on 100%, the Sixers are going to win this series. I love Philly's chances. Doc Rivers is angry. He has as much to prove as James Harden and Joel Embiid. An angry Doc Rivers is not someone you want to face. Here's a couple of things that are flawed with that. One, he doesn't have as much to prove as Joel Embiid and James Harden. He's considered a top 15 coach of all time. Secondly, he has a championship. Neither of these guys do. I mean, we can make jokes and mock Doc Rivers all we want to with, and Lord knows we do on my radio show plenty. But Doc Rivers has a championship. Neither one of those guys has one. And their careers are going to be defined by it. So Doc Rivers can be blowing 3-1 leads till the cows come home. He's always going to have that 2008 championship. And the funny thing about it is with Doc Rivers is, like, why is Doc Rivers, I can't believe I'm sticking up for Doc Rivers in this case, but why is Doc Rivers the one guy from that 2008 team that doesn't get to hold up his one championship with the Celtics like it's 9? Because Paul Pierce and Kevin Garnett and all these guys get to roll around and waltz around commercials like they're Michael Jordan with 6 rings or the Shaquille O'Neal with 4 rings. It's crazy to me. Like, that one Boston championship is treated so holier than thou by the media and marketing departments and all that type of stuff. So I don't know why Doc Rivers all of a sudden has to defend himself more so than James Harden and Joel Embiid. And the idea that he's angry, what the hell does that mean, Kendrick Perkins? An angry Doc Rivers? You don't think he's ever been angry down in a series before? Like, he's never been in that situation where he's had to deal with some emotions and tapping into that? I don't know what the hell he means. As far as the health thing is concerned, yeah, obviously. Like, listen, I think if you were to go to Kendrick Perkins right now and you were to tell him, hey, Joel Embiid's going to miss a couple of games because of an orbital bone, I would say his opinion quite sways. In fact, I saw an oddity where it was like ESPN put out their list of expert picks, and I think every one of them picked the Miami Heat, which I was not used to. I don't know if that happened. I don't know if those picks were made before or after the Embiid. I'm going to guess it happened after the Embiid injury, but the Sixers were not looking good. I mean, like, let's be frank about it. They took out the Raptors in 6 games, but it was a series they probably should have been down in at one point. And it was a Raptors team that was super banged up as it is. So I don't think a lot of people have faith in this team. I think a lot of people have lost faith in James Harden. I've never had faith in James Harden. I never wanted him on the Miami Heat. That's another storyline that goes into this as well. I think that you look at Tyler Hero and the piece that Israel Gutierrez recently did on him, talking about being in the James Harden rumors. I don't know how real that stuff was, but you hear it. Everything gets on NBA Central, and if it's on NBA Central, a 22-year-old or a 21-year-old at the time is going to hear it. And so I think that's an interesting storyline too. Tyler Hero having an opportunity to really show the Heat fans that he was worth keeping around. And I wouldn't say that he had a really A+ game in any point of the Hawks series. So there's a lot of proving to do, certainly for him. Know that he's put a lot of work into this thing, and it's an interesting storyline. Obviously, Jimmy Butler with the leaving of Philadelphia, and Lord knows they've done what seems like a lot of penance towards him and a lot of regret, because you see how everything played out with Ben Simmons. He kind of called it. I mean, honestly, Jimmy Butler, for all this bad teammate stuff that he has, you see what happens with Karl Anthony Towns. You see what happens with Ben Simmons. The guy's kind of a savant with this stuff. Let's be honest about it. And I think there are Philly fans that do regret him leaving and know that he has that close relationship with Joel Embiid and probably wish that they never let him walk. But when he did, let's not forget what they said when he left. They said he wouldn't be loved. They said that he was going to Miami to retire. They said he was never going to be heard from again. And yet here he is, 3 straight playoff appearances, 1 finals appearance, and just kicking ass as one of the best players in the playoffs right now. It's very interesting. And it is going to be a thing where, Jimmy is not a guy where he likes to show his cards at all, that he believes in revenge. I remember asking about this at Media Day this year. I was like, do you believe in revenge games? He goes, no, I don't believe in that stuff. But how can you not be a little bit petty? How could you not be a little bit, have it in the back of the mind? Maybe it's not something that's going to even be mentioned until the end of the series, because he is close with Joel Embiid. He does genuinely like the guy. But I find that I think that is definitely an interesting factor in this one, for sure. But the biggest storyline going into this, out of anything, is the injuries. Kendrick Perkins isn't wrong about that, and just not the injuries that he thought it was going to be. Joel Embiid's going to be out. It seems like at least 2 games. We get the news of his orbital bone fracture. He's in concussion protocol, so he's going to miss at least 2 games. There's, I guess, some optimism that he can be back for what they're saying, game 3 or 4. So do with that what you will. I assume we're going to see masked Joel Embiid again. It reminds you and harkens back to the old Heat Sixers series back in the day with D Wade on the team, and didn't go great for Miami. I ended up in a kangaroo suit having to pay a bet to an Australian member of Parliament's. Shout out to Tim Watts. Although I guess you're a Nets fan now because of Ben Simmons. So I don't know where you're saying now. I don't know where you're saying now, Watts. So you're probably not rooting for the Sixers. If anything, you're probably rooting for the Heat, right? I mean, wouldn't you want my happiness, Tim? I'm just saying. But the other thing is that he got their own injuries to deal with, and biggest of them all being Kyle Lowry. They were able to withstand the storm in the midst of the Hawks series, and they won 2 games without him, and really probably would have been a sweep if they did have him. I mean, Kyle Lowry was, I think, plus 51 in that series up until the point he got hurt, and they really melted down late in that game after going up. And this is going to be an interesting one because, you are definitely stepping up in competition. Even if they don't have Joel Embiid, they do have James Harden, they do have Tobias Harris. Tyrese Maxey has gutted the Heat at one point this year. And, they got pieces. Now, they don't have the MVP. And in my mind, for the Heat, look, I think they should win this series. I picked them to win this series, gentleman sweep style. That's how I do. Heat in 5. But in my mind, if you give up this first game, I think that's a huge blown opportunity. I think that you have to TCB at home. You have to take care of this team. They're wounded. They're going to need. They're not with Joel Embiid, and it puts all the pressure on James Harden, which is something he does not like dealing with. Let's be honest. He's already been called out by Joel Embiid at this point. Everybody seems sick of the guy. Everybody seems just so done with his act of being out of shape, and now he's on the other side of 30 and looking a little long in the tooth and not looking like what he was at one point. So this is a big opportunity for Miami, yes, because Joel Embiid is out. Big discussion about, like, you know, do you feel bad that Joel Embiid is out? Do you take the injuries? How does that work as a fan? Look, for me, this is the way I look at it. I'm not going to cry for the Sixers fan. First of all, the Heat starting point guard is out for the first couple of games of that series. And if you don't think that's a big blow, it is. They got to go and roll with a rotation now with Gabe Vincent, who's been fantastic, and Victor Oladipo, who is just getting his feet wet again. And I very much believe in the Heat's depth and what they're able to do. But make no mistake, I'd rather have Kyle Lowry out there. And nobody, and I mean nobody, is going to mention one thing about the Heat's point guard being out if they lose a game. Nobody. All they're going to mention is Joel Embiid. And I get it. He's an MVP candidate. He's one of the best players in the league, arguably the top 5. But Kyle Lowry is still very, very important to the Heat. Let's not act like it's nothing. But I just think it's very interesting that everybody wants to sit here and they want to have the Heat, boo-hooing about the Sixers. Oh, Joel Embiid's not there. I didn't hear anybody care one rat's ass when the Lakers were beating a broken Heat team. I didn't hear anybody giving the Heat any credit. All I ever heard out of it was bubble frauds, bubble frauds, bubble frauds, bubble frauds, bubble frauds. I was already hearing it be, oh, Joel Embiid, easy walk for the Heat, bubble frauds, bubble frauds, bubble. Kiss my ass, honestly. Joel Embiid comes back in the series. Great. It makes it supremely interesting. I still think the Heat can beat him with Joel Embiid, so I ain't worried about it. But do I feel bad? No, I don't feel bad. Like, this is what it is right now. Did the Celtics fans feel bad for the Bucks who didn't have to play with Chris Middleton? No, they're like, we got this. This is great. Boston in 5, and then they blow today's game. So the injuries have been a big part of this playoff so far. It's definitely been a huge storyline. It's been something that has affected a lot of stuff, but to feel bad because they don't have Joel Embiid, like, first of all, it seems like he's coming back middle of the series. Same as with Kyle Lowry, okay? I think Spo's quote today was, they think they have enough. We think we have enough. A plus Eric Spoelstra quote. So if they think they have enough, we think we have enough. Let's just tip the ball and let's go out there. Great quote by Spo. So everyone's going to be a little bit shorthanded. It's going to be in different spots. Is it the Heat's fault that they got bums playing center behind them? No. That's the, go cry to, highfalutin Daryl Morey. He's the one who put the roster together. Just because the Heat may have prepped their backcourt a little bit better than the Sixers would have prepared their backup centers. That's the Heat's problem. But in the aftermath of it, like, look, it does, I think, put a lot of pressure on Miami these first couple of games. Like, you don't want to lose home court as it is, trust me. But now it turns into, okay, look, Joel is going to come back in a couple of games. You have these games at home. You've been fantastic at home. You don't have your starting point guard, yes, but you do have backups playing at home, which should be more comfortable. So I do think there's pressure there. I do think there's a lot of pressure there on the Miami Heat to take care of home court in these first couple of matchups, and it should be a fun series. I still stick my look. If you guys were listening to my radio show, my prediction was Heat in 5 before Joel Embiid got hurt. It doesn't change. I'm still sticking with Heat in 5. I still think that Joel Embiid comes back, doesn't come back. There'll be some annoying Sixers game in there with Maxey going off or Tobias Harris doing stuff, or maybe James Harden decides to unpack his step back 3 for a game. Who knows? But for me, I'm still sticking with my gentleman's sweep prediction, and I'm looking forward to the series. Banged up as it is right now, not being, I think, all the way full throttle with the drama as it could be, still has a lot of juice to it between Jimmy versus Philly, between Tyler Hero, James Harden, that storyline. Hell, Doc Rivers and Eric Spoelstra, the rematch. Like, let's do it again, dude. There's a lot of places to go, and the Eastern Conference semifinals should be a series with a lot of storylines to it. I hope that he don't make it very competitive. I hope that they go out there and they do what they're able to do. But I still think it's going to make for a lot of interesting talking points for sure. And I can't wait to grief listen to Sports Radio up in Philly. That's going to be fun. I'm looking forward to it on Monday, dude. Looking forward to listening to the Bostonians cry and whine. Brad Stevens today. Whoo! Rats off a ship. He was out of there. All right. We will I'll be boots on the ground. Game 1, game 2. Looking forward to it. Game 7. I'll tell you another thing. This is another storyline. Game 7 is on my daughter's 10th birthday. I can't have that heat, okay? Let's not make this a conflict of interest for me. All right? Let's don't make this a thing for me, all right? All right? Just don't. Love you guys. Thank you for tuning in. Again, if you're looking for the radio show, we are now putting our clips up at youtube.com/theticketmiami. We are live every single morning. You guys can watch the whole show. Twitch.tv/7nighticket. Tobin and Leroy every single morning, 6 to 10 a.m. That is where you guys can find us. But if you are viewers, that is where you guys can go watch us now. And thanks for tuning in.